Baylor never believed in ghosts until the night one walked straight toward him. The restaurant was warm, loud, and packed with people who looked way too chill for a Friday night. Meanwhile, Baylor felt like his ribs were welded shut. His palms were sweaty, his leg bounced like a motor, and he kept telling himself he was way too old for this dating nonsense. 34, a widowed single dad, and on a blind date set up by his loud-mouthed best friend Boston, who swore he was helping. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tunning in form? We love seeing how far our stories travel. We love you to subscribe our channel for more interesting single dad stories. Yeah, right. Helping, more like torturing. Baylor took a sip of water and checked his phone for what had to be the 15th time. No text from Boston. No text from the girl. No escape route. The waiter had already passed by twice asking if he wanted to order, and each time Baylor forced a smile that probably looked like a man in the middle of a tax audit. He muttered under his breath, "What am I even doing here?" But then everything changed. The front door opened and a woman stepped inside, dark hair, soft eyes, that faint, familiar dimple on the left cheek. The kind of gentle expression that used to wrap itself around his heart like a warm blanket. His entire body went numb. No, this couldn't be happening. She looked exactly like Elise, his wife, his dead wife. The water glass slipped from his hand, hit the table, and splashed like a tiny tsunami. Ice cubes flew. His heartbeat slammed into his ears so hard he thought he'd black out. The woman, Olivia, had to be Olivia, walked toward him with a nervous smile. The same shy smile Elise used to have the first night he met her. Impossible, straight-up sci-fi level impossible. "Connor?" the woman asked softly. He flinched. Nobody called him Connor except doctors and DMV employees. Boston must have told her his real name. "You okay?" she asked, stepping closer. Her voice, God, even her voice had that same soft cadence Elise used when she was trying not to laugh. Baylor shot to his feet so fast his chair screeched across the floor. Heads turned. Somewhere a fork dropped. I can't do this, I'm sorry." His voice cracked. "I have to go." He slapped down way too much cash, nearly tripping over the chair legs, and bolted out of the restaurant like someone had yelled fire. Behind him, Olivia called, "Wait, did I do something?" But he couldn't stop. His lungs couldn't pull in air, his chest was tight, and the cold night air slapped him across the face as he stumbled down the sidewalk. He didn't stop until he reached his truck 3 blocks away. He fell into the driver's seat and just sat there, staring at the steering wheel like it might explain reality to him. His phone buzzed, then buzzed again. Then again. He answered on the 4th ring. "Dude," Boston said, half panicked, half annoyed, "Olivia said you sprinted out of the restaurant like you saw Bigfoot. What happened?" Baylor swallowed hard. "Boston, she looks like Elise." Silence, a long one. "What? I mean exactly," Baylor whispered. "Every detail, the hair, the eyes, the way she smiles, even the freaking dimple. I looked at her and it was like Elise walked back into that restaurant." Another long silence. Then Boston exhaled. "Man, there's something you need to know. Something Sarah told me about Olivia. Something I didn't think mattered until right now." Baylor's grip tightened on the phone. "What thing?" Boston hesitated. "She's been searching for someone," he finally said. "Someone she thinks might be her twin sister." The world tilted. A twin. A twin Elise never knew existed. And if Olivia truly was Elise's twin, then everything Baylor thought he understood about loss, grief, and the past was about to get flipped inside out. What Baylor discovers next won't just shake his world. It's going to drag him straight into a truth Elise never got the chance to tell. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and return to our channel for more life-changing, emotional, and heartwarming stories. Baylor didn't drive home right away. His hands were still trembling against the steering wheel, knuckles pale, breath shaky like he'd run a marathon. Boston's words replayed over and over in his head. A twin sister. A twin Elise never even knew she had. He leaned back in the seat, staring through the windshield at the blurry streetlights. November air seeped through a crack in the window, cold enough to sting, but he barely felt it. "Boston, tell me everything," he finally said. "I don't know everything," Boston admitted. "I just know Sarah heard Olivia mention she came to Columbus looking for family. She said something about being separated from a sibling when she was little." A cold shiver rattled down Baylor's spine. "Separated how?" "No idea. Sarah didn't ask, but bro, she thinks it was a twin." Baylor closed his eyes. Elise, a twin. It made no sense, except it did. He remembered Elise telling him once years ago, "Some nights I swear I can feel someone missing. Like there's another version of me out there." He'd laughed it off as poetic nonsense. Now it felt like a clue he'd ignored. "Damn," Boston whispered. "You okay?" "No," Baylor said honestly. "I'm absolutely not okay." And he wasn't. Because if Olivia was Elise's twin, if she'd been searching for years, if Elise had died never knowing the truth, then this whole situation wasn't just coincidence. It was heartbreak with a cruel twist. Baylor started the truck and drove slowly through the city, letting the motion settle his mind. Street by street, memory by memory, he tried to stitch together the impossible. He remembered Elise telling him she was found wandering alone at a fair. No ID, no parents, no answers. What if Olivia's parents weren't careless? What if they were right there, searching just on the wrong side of a crowded fairground? He swallowed. Hard, eventually he pulled into his driveway. The porch light glowed warm. Inside, the house was mostly dark, except for the lamp his daughter Clara always left on when he was out. He pushed open the door quietly. Clara was asleep on the couch, her homework open and a pencil dangling from her fingers. She stirred when he sat beside her. "Daddy," she mumbled. "Yeah, sweetheart, I'm here." "How'd the date go? Was she nice?" Baylor hesitated. His heart squeezed. "It was complicated." Clara blinked awake, studying him with Elise's same quiet curiosity. "You look sad." He brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. "Just tired." "You miss Mom tonight," she whispered. He nodded. "Yeah." Clara sat up and leaned her head on his shoulder. "Mom would want you to be happy." The words hit him harder than any punch. Then Clara added softly, "Maybe you should give the lady another chance." If only his daughter knew the chaos that one woman had just dropped on his soul. But Clara wasn't wrong. He owed Olivia an explanation. He owed Elise the truth. And he owed himself something. He wasn't sure what yet. As he tucked Clara into bed that night, one thought wouldn't leave him. If Olivia really was Elise's twin, then he owed that woman more than an apology. He owed her her sister's story. But could he face her again without falling apart? When Baylor meets Olivia again, a single photograph will shatter everything he thought he knew about Elise's past. Baylor didn't sleep that night, or the next. His mind ran like a busted engine, misfiring thoughts about Elise, Olivia, fate, and the giant what if he'd never expected to face. By the third morning, he caved. He texted Olivia, "If you're willing, I think we need to talk." For 5 agonizing minutes, the message sat there, delivered, unread, then ding. "Miller Park tomorrow at 2. Short, careful, like someone bracing for impact. He couldn't blame her. When the day came, Baylor arrived early. Typical. Anxiety had him pacing the path near the old swing set where he used to push Clara when she was small. The sky was gray, the wind sharp, the trees nearly bare. It matched his mood a little too well. Then he saw her. Olivia walked slowly down the path, wrapped in a green jacket, her dark hair pulled back, eyes wary but determined. There was something different about seeing her now, not panic, not shock, just the heavy ache of knowing she carried answers he wasn't ready for. She stopped a few feet away. "Hi," she said softly. Hey, she sat on the bench first, leaving space between them. He took the other side. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Olivia inhaled deeply. Your friend told me about your wife. The word wife wobbled in the air like it weighed too much. Yeah, Baylor said quietly. Elise passed away 3 years ago, and I look like her. It's unreal, he admitted. You're not just similar, you're practically identical. Olivia swallowed, her jaw clenching. I need to show you something. She pulled something from her jacket pocket, a creased, worn photograph, edges soft from being handled too many times. She held it out. Baylor took it with trembling hands, and his world tilted. Two little girls, maybe 3 years old, sat side by side on a weathered porch swing. Identical twins, same hair, same smile, same everything. Behind them stood a young couple, each parent resting a hand on one child. The air left his lungs. That's us, Olivia whispered. That's me and my sister. Baylor's vision blurred as he stared at the face he'd memorized years ago, except younger, still innocent, still whole. So Elise, he started, voice cracking. My twin, Olivia finished. Her name wasn't Elise, not originally. Baylor lowered the photo slowly. He felt like someone had ripped open a sealed box in his chest. My parents lost her at the Oregon State Fair, Olivia continued, voice trembling. Thousands of people everywhere. They turned away for 30 seconds, and when they turned back, she was gone. She wiped a tear with the back of her hand. They searched for her for years, filed reports, hired investigators, put her photo everywhere. They never stopped, not once. Baylor felt a sharp ache in his throat. She grew up thinking she was abandoned, he whispered. She told me once that nobody ever came for her. Olivia nodded painfully. If my parents had known where she was, they would have torn the world apart to get her back. Silence hung heavy, filled with grief for a life Elise never got to know. Can you, Olivia's voice shook, can you tell me about her, my sister, everything? So Baylor did. He told her about meeting Elise in that community center, about her shy laugh, her sunflower obsession, how she always cried at happy movie endings. He told her about their daughter, about Elise's strength during her illness, about her last words. By the time he finished, Olivia was crying openly, mourning a sister she loved without ever meeting. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. Baylor, I think your wife spent her whole life missing me just as much as I missed her. His chest twisted. Her pain, Elise's pain, it all connected now. But Olivia isn't done. She's been hiding one more truth, one that will drag Baylor even deeper into Elise's past. They sat there for a long time, two strangers connected by a woman who was gone, and a truth neither had been prepared to face. The photo lay between them like a bridge and a wound at the same time. Olivia sniffed, wiping her cheeks with the sleeve of her jacket. There's something else, she murmured. Something I didn't tell Sarah or Boston or anyone. Baylor straightened, tension crawling up his spine. What is it? Olivia hesitated, fingers trembling as she traced the edge of the photo. I didn't just come to Columbus because of an old Foster record. That was part of it, yeah. But the real reason I came, she swallowed hard. I found something else. His chest tightened. Found what? My sister's necklace. Baylor's heart stopped. Olivia pulled a small velvet pouch from her coat pocket, hands shaking slightly. She opened it and tipped a delicate silver chain into her palm. A small sunflower pendant rested at the center. Baylor's breath hitched. Oh my God, she had this, Olivia asked carefully. Every day, Baylor whispered, since I met her. She never took it off. She said it was the only thing she had from her childhood. Olivia nodded slowly. I thought so. Where did you get that? He asked, voice tight. An antique shop, she whispered. 5 months ago, Baylor blinked. What? I was just wandering the city after another dead-end search. I stopped at this tiny shop downtown. looked like it hadn't been dusted since the Stone Age. She let out a shaky laugh. The owner was this older guy who hoards everything. You know the type. Baylor nodded. He could picture it. He had a basket of old jewelry, tangled chains, rusty bracelets, random junk. But this, she held up the sunflower. This was on top, like it was waiting for me. Baylor stared at the pendant like it was glowing. I asked him where he got it, Olivia said. He said a woman sold it to him years ago. A woman with dark hair who looked sad, like she was trying to let go of something she didn't want to lose. Baylor's stomach twisted. Hard, Elise, he knew exactly when she'd sold it. When she got sick, he whispered, his throat tight. She sold some things, quietly. She didn't want me to know she was trying to pay for home care we couldn't afford. Olivia's eyes went glossy again. She sold her only childhood connection just to take care of you and Clara. The realization broke something inside him. I think she wanted someone to find it, Olivia added softly. And just maybe she hoped you'd find me someday. Baylor shook his head. She never knew you existed. But she felt something, Olivia said. Twins do. Even separated ones, some part of her had to know she wasn't alone. The wind blew colder. Leaves rustled around them. Baylor looked at Olivia, really looked at her, past the resemblance, past the shock, past the grief. He saw the woman who'd been searching her whole life. He saw the sister Elise never got to meet. He saw the only living connection to the woman he'd loved and lost. You deserve to know her story, Baylor said quietly. All of it, Olivia nodded, tears falling again. And you deserve to know the rest of mine. He frowned slightly. The rest? Olivia took a shaky breath. Baylor, I'm not just here searching for Elise, her voice cracked. I'm searching for answers, because I think something about our separation was wrong, like more wrong than just a lost child. Baylor's blood ran cold. What do you mean? I think someone took her. The words dropped between them like a bomb. Olivia's suspicion isn't just a theory, she has proof. And once Baylor sees it, he'll realize Elise's disappearance wasn't an accident. It was a secret buried for decades. For a moment, Baylor genuinely thought he misheard her. The wind rustled through the bare branches overhead, and he blinked like the world had tilted sideways. Someone took her, he repeated slowly. Olivia, that's a massive claim. I know, she whispered, and I wouldn't say it unless I had a reason, something real. Baylor's throat felt tight. Okay, start from the beginning. Olivia looked down at her hands, fingers twisting anxiously. I was 3 when Elise disappeared. Same age as her, obviously. My memories from that day are foggy, like distant noise, but I remember one thing clearly. She lifted her gaze. A man holding her hand. Baylor stiffened. A man, Olivia nodded. I remember 2 things, my mom screaming her name and Elise walking away with a man I didn't know. The image hit Baylor like a punch. Maybe she wandered, he said, grasping for logic. Kids follow strangers sometimes without realizing. No, her voice was firm. It wasn't like that. She wasn't scared. She wasn't crying. She looked calm, like she trusted him. Something icy crept up Baylor's spine. Olivia reached into her backpack and pulled out a worn file folder secured with a rubber band. Look, she said, handing it to him. This is why I came to Columbus. Inside were photocopied police reports, outdated photos, highlighted lines, and scribbled notes. The kind of obsessive collection someone builds when the world has ignored their truth for too long. But one page stopped Baylor cold. A grainy photo. A man in a faded baseball cap, standing near the fair's carousel. In the corner was a little girl who looked sickeningly familiar, dark hair, sunflower dress, tiny fingers curled around a cotton candy stick. Elise. Baylor felt his pulse pounding in his throat. Where did this come from? A retired cop, Olivia said. One who worked my sister's case. He contacted me 3 years ago right after my parents died. He said he'd held on to evidence that didn't go into the official report. Why not? Because nobody believed him, Olivia whispered. Nobody thought a man would snatch a kid in broad daylight without panicking. But this detective, he said Elise didn't look taken, she looked led. Baylor stared down at the photo again, bile rising. Who is he asked. Olivia shook her head. The detective never got a name. The photo was snapped by accident by a tourist. Nobody realized what they'd captured until years later. But the guy tried looking into him. Yeah, he said the man vanished. No fingerprints, no ID, no trace in state fair employee records, just gone. Baylor rubbed his forehead. So your theory is what, that Elise didn't just wander off? Someone took her for a reason? Olivia swallowed. That's what I'm terrified of, because twins don't just get separated like that. One doesn't get lost for 30 years while the other stays put. Her voice dropped to a haunted whisper. Someone chose her. Someone walked away with her. Someone stole our whole lives apart. The weight of her words hit him like a boulder, because it made too much sense. Elise's lifelong fear of abandonment, her unexplained nightmares as a kid, her obsession with always locking the doors, her constant feeling that someone was missing. This wasn't random. It was trauma she never understood, and now Olivia was staring at him like she needed permission to keep breathing. Baylor, she whispered, do you think I'm crazy? He shook his head slowly. No, I think you're onto something terrifying. The wind howled through the park as if agreeing. But the truth is even darker than Olivia realizes, because when Baylor shows her something Elise left behind, a hidden message will flip everything upside down. For the rest of the afternoon, they sat in the cold park trading fragments of a story Elise never got the chance to finish. Baylor felt like the ground under his feet kept shifting. Every time he grabbed onto one truth, another one slipped loose. Olivia hugged the folder to her chest. I know this sounds wild, but I can't shake the feeling that Elise didn't just disappear. Someone separated us on purpose. Baylor exhaled shakily. Trust me, I don't think anything sounds crazy anymore. He hesitated. There was something he'd never told anyone, not Boston, not his own parents, not even Elise's doctors. But the weight of it pressed against his ribs now, demanding to be let out. Olivia, he said quietly, I need to show you something. It's something Elise left behind. Her brows tightened. What is it? He took a breath. Come with me. 20 minutes later, they stood in his dim garage. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, illuminating the space where Baylor spent most of his days fixing cars and avoiding his emotions. He crossed to a tall metal cabinet tucked in the back corner. He paused before opening it, his hand hovering over the handle like the cabinet itself might bite. What's in there? Olivia asked gently. Elise's box. Olivia's breath hitched. He finally opened the cabinet. Inside, on the top shelf, sat a small wooden box Elise had decorated with paint and sunflowers when she was 17. It was the only thing she kept from her childhood, except for the necklace she'd sold. Baylor pulled the box down and set it carefully on the workbench. Dust coated the top. I haven't opened this since she died, he admitted. Olivia stepped beside him, her presence grounding. Are you sure you want to open it now? No, he said honestly, but I think she wanted someone to. He lifted the lid. Inside were scattered mementos. A dried sunflower petal, a bracelet Clara made in kindergarten, a few Polaroids, and a small envelope he had never noticed before the envelope was sealed. Old, yellowed at the edges. His name, Connor, was written across the front in Elise's handwriting. His throat tightened. He handed it to Olivia. I can't, my hands are shaking too bad. She nodded and carefully opened it. Inside was a folded sheet of notebook paper. Olivia read silently at first, and then her eyes widened, her breath stuttered. "What?" Baylor asked sharply. "Olivia, what does it say?" She looked up at him, pale, stunned. "Baylor, this isn't a letter to you." "What?" She handed it to him. And when he looked down, his blood froze. The letter wasn't addressed to him at all. At the top were the words, "To the sister I hope is out there somewhere." Baylor's lungs stopped working. He read Elise's words, written in shaky teenage handwriting. "I don't know why I feel this way, but I swear I'm missing someone. Not like a friend, like a part of me. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I feel like there should be two of me. I dream about a girl who has my face. I don't know who she is, but I hope she's okay." His hands trembled. Olivia covered her mouth, tears dripping down her chin. She felt me, even after we were separated." Baylor kept reading, heart pounding. "If you're real, if you're alive, I hope you find me someday. And I'm sorry I forgot you." The last line shattered him. Olivia whispered, "She never forgot me, she just didn't know how to remember." Baylor blinked hard. "Liv, there's more, look." At the bottom was a final message. "If someone took me, I hope they didn't take you too." The garage seemed to shrink around them. Olivia pressed a hand to her chest. Baylor, she knew, even as a kid, she knew something was wrong. And Baylor realized this wasn't just grief or coincidence or bad luck. Something darker had been woven into Elise's life from the moment she vanished. When Olivia reveals the final missing piece, a name Elise wrote years later, Baylor will realize the man in the photo wasn't a stranger at all. The garage felt colder than before, like someone had turned down the temperature just to match the chill crawling up Baylor's spine. Olivia clutched the letter like it was a lifeline, tears streaking down her face, but her expression had shifted. She wasn't just grieving now, she was thinking, hard. She knew, Olivia whispered, voice cracking. She felt something, even as a little kid, she knew someone took her. Baylor leaned against the workbench, rubbing the back of his neck. Elise never talked about any of this, not once. "She wouldn't," Olivia murmured, eyes distant. "Trauma does that. Kids bury things they don't understand, especially when the adults around them can't answer their questions." He hated how much sense that made. He hated even more that Elise carried this alone. Olivia suddenly inhaled sharply. "Wait!" She reached back into the box, rifling through items with trembling hands. "What are you looking for?" Baylor asked. "Something my detective contact mentioned," she murmured. "He said there were documents Elise might have been given when she entered foster care. A name scribbled somewhere, a nickname, something that didn't match the official records." Baylor frowned. "What kind of name?" "A man's name," Olivia whispered, "possibly someone who was seen near the fair earlier that day." His heart rate kicked up. "Liv, what are you talking about?" She didn't answer. She dug deeper, pulling out old papers, photos, a tiny pair of toddler socks Elise had kept for reasons she never explained. And then, "I found it." She lifted a folded hospital intake sheet. The corners were torn, the ink faded, but the writing, oh God, the writing was clear, a name scrawled in a child's handwriting. "Mr. Devlin." Baylor felt his entire body go rigid. "Devlin. Who the hell is Devlin?" Olivia stared at the page like it was radioactive. "The detective mentioned that name. He told me a toddler matching Elise's description had repeated the name, Devlin, to a foster worker when she was first picked up by police. But the report dismissed it. Why? They assumed she was mispronouncing something or making it up. She was 3. "But now," Baylor said, voice low, "we know she wasn't." Olivia nodded slowly. "The detective also said there was a missing person report filed that same week. A state fair volunteer named Michael Devlin who quit without notice and disappeared. But because nobody connected him to the missing child, the lead went cold." Baylor stared at the name, rage and fear boiling under his skin. So you're telling me some dude, Devlin, might have walked off with Elise and nobody noticed? Olivia's voice broke. Yes, Baylor slammed his fist against the workbench. Tools rattled. Olivia flinched, but she didn't back away. He stole her whole damn life, Baylor growled. He ripped her away from you, from your parents, from everything she should have had. Olivia wiped her eyes aggressively. That's why I came to Ohio. The detective told me there was one last possible connection. A rumor Devlin had a brother who lived in Columbus years ago. No address, no record. Just a rumor. And you didn't tell anyone this? Would you? She snapped. People already think I'm a conspiracy nut. I didn't want to drag you into my mess. Baylor shook his head. This isn't your mess, it's Elise's truth. And ours now. Olivia stared at him, stunned by the intensity in his voice. He meant every word. She slowly folded the paper with the name Devlin, hands trembling. Baylor, she whispered. If Elise knew this name, if she carried it for years, then maybe she remembered more than anyone realized. Baylor nodded grimly. Then we find out what happened. But Olivia's expression shifted again, this time to fear. There's something else, she said quietly. Something I didn't want to show you unless I was sure. He tensed. Liv, what is it? She reached into her bag and pulled out another document, one Baylor had never seen. A document with Elise's name on it. A document that shouldn't exist. When Baylor reads the document, he'll learn Elise had been contacted years before she died by someone connected to the name Devlin. And the truth will hit harder than anything so far. Baylor couldn't look away from the paper in Olivia's hands. The way she held it, careful, almost fearful, told him whatever was written there wasn't just important. It was devastating. Liv, he said slowly, what is that? Olivia didn't answer at first. She stared at the document like her brain was still deciding whether to hand him the truth or protect him from it. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. This was mailed to Elise 6 months before she died. Baylor's stomach dropped. What? She received it at your house, Olivia added quietly. The detective managed to get a copy from an old case file he never should have kept, but thank God he did. She handed it over. Baylor unfolded the paper, an old, faded intake form from a private investigator's office. At the top, inquiry, search for birth family. He felt the air punch out of his lungs. Elise hired an investigator? Olivia nodded, tears gathering again. She was looking for us, Baylor. She just never told anyone. His hands shook as he scanned the rest. The form contained notes, scribbled, shorthand, badly scanned. But one line was highlighted in yellow. Caller, Michael Devlin, possible lead, says he has information related to separated twins. Baylor's heart lurched. Devlin, he contacted her. Not directly, Olivia said. He called the Pi office, claimed he knew something, but what? Baylor demanded. The investigator said the man never followed up. He called one time, rambled about unfinished business, and then vanished. Baylor's body went cold. Did Elise get the message? She did. Olivia swallowed hard. But the note says she told the office she wasn't ready to talk. He staggered back a step. Elise never mentioned any of this, he whispered. Not once. Olivia placed a gentle hand on his arm. Maybe she was scared. Baylor shut his eyes. Scared, confused, sick, of course she wasn't ready. And then life hit her with the illness that stole everything. He rubbed his face, voice tight. Do you understand what this means? Olivia nodded slowly. Devlin wasn't just some random guy in a picture. He tried to reach out. Meaning he knew who Elise was. And he knew about you, Baylor added, her voice cracked. And he waited 30 years to come forward. Baylor felt rage rising, hot, violent, protective. Why now? Why contact her then? Olivia shook her head. The detective guessed Devlin got spooked when Elise started working as a pediatric nurse. She began showing up in public databases again, nursing board exams, license renewals, employment records. Baylor stiffened. So he realized she could be found. And maybe, Olivia whispered, he worried she remembered something. The garage seemed to shrink around them, Elise searching, afraid, receiving a call from the man who stole her life, and hiding it because she didn't know how to face the truth. Baylor pressed the paper to his forehead, fighting the sting in his eyes. She carried all this alone, he said hoarsely, and I never knew. Olivia squeezed his arm gently. She probably thought she was protecting you, protecting Clara. He nodded miserably because it made sense, so painfully, beautifully Elise. Then Olivia stepped back, her expression shifting, like a new puzzle piece had clicked into place. Baylor, there's something even worse. His head snapped up. Worse than this, she nodded. Devlin didn't just call the pie, her voice shook. He visited him. Baylor's pulse froze. What? The detective said the investigator reported a man matching Devlin's description showing up at his office, asking questions about where Elise lived. Baylor's blood turned to ice. He came looking for her? Yes, Olivia whispered. And if the timeline is right, he came to Columbus. When Baylor realizes Devlin might have been near their home years ago, he remembers something Clara once said, something he dismissed at the time, and now it changes everything. For a moment, Baylor just stood there in the garage, blood roaring in his ears, Olivia's words echoing like someone had struck a bell inside his skull. Devlin came to Columbus. He asked where Elise lived. He looked for her. This can't be real, Baylor whispered. Someone would have known, someone would have seen. Not if he didn't want to be seen, Olivia cut in. And if he disappeared from Oregon without a trace. He knew how to hide. Cold sweat prickled at the back of Baylor's neck. But why hunt her down after 30 years? He asked, voice low. Olivia shook her head. I don't know, maybe guilt, maybe fear she remembered something. Maybe, her words trailed off as she watched his expression change. Baylor, she asked slowly, what is it? He didn't answer at first. He was too busy replaying a moment he hadn't thought about in years, something so small, so harmless, he'd brushed it off the second it happened. But now it hit like a sledgehammer. Clara, he whispered. Olivia blinked. Your daughter. There was something she said when she was 6, just a couple months before Elise died. Olivia stepped closer, brows furrowing. What did she say? Baylor swallowed hard, throat tight. We lived in a little 2-story house back then. Elise was in and out of the hospital. So Clara spent a lot of time drawing in the living room while I took care of things. He could see the memory so clearly. Clara in her red pajamas, crayons scattered everywhere. One night, he continued, she told me a man was standing in our yard. Olivia's eyes widened. What? I thought she was imagining things. Kids that age say weird stuff, right? So I didn't take it seriously. I told her it was probably the mailman or a neighbor. What did Clara actually see? Olivia pressed. Baylor let out a shaky breath. She said he was the man with the hat. Olivia paled instantly. The photo. The man in the picture from the fair. He was wearing a baseball cap. Exactly. The two locked eyes, both realizing the same terrible truth at the same time. What did he look like? Olivia whispered. Baylor shook his head. Clara didn't describe his face, just the hat and that he didn't move. She said he just stood there staring at the house. A chill sliced through the room. And Elise, Olivia asked, did you tell her? Yes, he said softly. She went quiet, didn't say a word for a few seconds. What did she say after? She told me to keep the doors locked. Olivia closed her eyes, like the weight of that detail almost knocked her over. She knew. Yeah, Baylor whispered. I think she recognized the description or the feeling or something. The guilt hit him full force. He had dismissed his daughter. He had ignored Elise's fear. And the whole time, someone could have been watching them. Someone who had stolen her once. Someone who wanted something he never got. Olivia released a shaky breath. If Devlin tracked her to Columbus, Baylor, he might have known where she worked, where she lived. Maybe even, she didn't finish. She didn't need to. Baylor forced himself to push through the panic rising in his chest. Live, he said, voice low and determined. We're not letting this stay buried. Elise deserves better. You deserve answers. Clara deserves to know the truth. And Devlin, Olivia whispered. Baylor met her eyes with a resolve that felt bone-deep. If he's alive, I'll find him. Olivia's breath trembled. And if he's not, then we find the people who knew why he took Elise. Before she could respond, footsteps creaked outside the garage. Both froze, then a knock on the door, 3 slow, deliberate taps. Baylor and Olivia exchanged a terrified glance. Nobody was supposed to be here. When Baylor opens the door, he won't find Devlin, but someone holding information that changes everything, including Elise's final days. The knock echoed through the garage like a warning. 3 slow taps, each one heavy enough to make Baylor's heart pound in his throat. Olivia froze beside him, eyes wide, breath shallow. "Did you invite someone?" she whispered. "No," Baylor said, voice barely above a breath. "Nobody knows we're here." Another 3 taps. Baylor grabbed the nearest thing that could function as a weapon, a heavy wrench from his tool bench, and walked quietly toward the door. Olivia stepped behind him, clutching the letter from Elise like she might need it as proof if the world suddenly went insane. Baylor took a slow breath, braced himself, then yanked the door open. A man in his late 60s stood on the porch. Not Devlin, not someone Baylor recognized, but Olivia did. Her gasp was so sharp it cut the air in half. "Detective Rowan," the man nodded, removing his hat. His hair was gray and thinning, and he looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in years. He glanced at Baylor with tired eyes. "You must be Connor Baylor," he said. "We need to talk." Baylor lowered the wrench. "How the hell did you find us?" Rowan slipped an envelope from his jacket pocket. "I didn't. I followed a trail Elise left behind." Olivia stepped forward. You retired years ago. Why are you here now?" Rowan exhaled, a shaky breath full of regret. "Because I kept something I shouldn't have, something your sister gave me long before she hired that pie." Olivia stiffened. "WH what?" Rowan handed her the envelope. "I promised myself I'd deliver it if anything ever happened to her, but fear and guilt kept me silent." He swallowed. "Until your call this morning. You said you were meeting the man Elise trusted most. That told me it was time." Baylor blinked. "Elise trusted you?" Rowan's voice cracked. "She came to me 16 years ago. Said she had memories surfacing, memories she didn't understand. She thought she was losing her mind." Olivia covered her mouth, stunned. Rowan continued, eyes glistening. "She told me she remembered a man with a hat. A man who told her to stay quiet or the twins go away forever. She didn't know what it meant at the time." Baylor's blood turned to ice. "Twins?" "She didn't understand the word," Rowan said. "She just remembered the threat." Olivia's knees buckled slightly and Baylor caught her. Rowan looked down, ashamed. "I failed her. I didn't push hard enough, and when she got sick, I backed off completely. I didn't want to add stress. But she left this." Olivia opened the envelope. Inside was a small recorder and a handwritten note. Baylor recognized the handwriting instantly. "Elise," Olivia hit play. A soft crackle filled the garage. Then Elise's voice came through, faint but steady. "If you're hearing this, then I'm gone, and I'm sorry. I never figured out how to say this when I was alive." Olivia's breath faltered. Baylor's eyes flooded. "I don't know what he did to me. I don't know why he took me. But I know I'm not crazy anymore. I know someone else is out there. Someone who sounds like me. Someone who laughs like me. Someone who should have grown up beside me." A pause, a shaky inhale. "My sister, I feel you. I know you're real. And if this reaches you, please know I never stopped looking, even when I didn't know who I was looking for." Olivia collapsed into Baylor's chest, sobbing. The recording continued. And Baylor, thank you for loving me even when I was broken. Please help her. Help my sister find the truth. The recorder clicked off. Silence, heavy, heart-shattering. Detective Rowan wiped his eyes. I don't know where Devlin is, but I know one thing. Baylor looked up. He didn't act alone. Olivia straightened, face streaked with tears, but eyes blazing with something new. You mean there's someone else? Rowan nodded gravely. Devlin had a partner, and that partner is still alive. Baylor stepped forward, determination burning through him. Then we find them and we finish what Elise started. Olivia took his hand. For Elise, she whispered. For her, Baylor echoed. And for the first time since this nightmare started, they weren't just grieving. They were hunting.